Fires back into it in Chester. Here's El Senior. Yes!
The center back, Jacob Glesnes.
He's going for it.
Yes! Oh, what a goal! What a goal!
And that will do it. One of the best comebacks in recent years. 3 unanswered by the Union. And they go into the Gold Cup break, winning it 3-2.
Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. And I know it's been a couple of days since that New York Red Bulls versus Philadelphia Union game. And I'm sure, just like myself, you guys are still buzzing from that game to see the Union go on the road, a place that they haven't won since 2020. They go and beat New York Red Bulls, who, granted, are a team who have been terrible, the fewest amount of wins at home this season. But, you know, every time these two teams get together, you know it's always going to be a difficult matchup for the Union. It's always going to be a difficult matchup for the New York Red Bulls. Both teams play such a similar style of soccer, and the Union come in there and, you know, hold their own. And second half starts, get an early goal, which was so key. But, you know, all that was great and everything to see a win. But I think for me, myself, the thing I'm happiest about was seeing all the Union fans that traveled up to New Jersey, hearing you guys, the Sons of Bang Keystone State Ultras. We were able to hear you guys clear as day on the broadcast. You could hear every single chant that you guys were chanting, the passion, the energy you guys brought from the first minute to the end of the game. It was fantastic. Seeing the pictures, the videos that people posted online, chanting in the stadium, having the team come over and applaud you guys. It was something truly, truly special to witness on TV. And I'm sure for you guys that were there in the stadium, yeah, it's a night that none of you guys will probably ever forget. But it was just a terrific atmosphere from you guys. And I applaud each and every single one of you that were in New Jersey for that game. And you guys couldn't have picked a better game to go to, right? But as always, you know, we try to go over news. We'll talk about the New York Red Bulls game, keys to the victory, 3 stars for the night, goal breakdown, blunder of the week. But there really isn't any news. There is no transfers that happen this late in the season. Nothing really exciting to talk about. We know Kai Wagner's still here, transfer window closed. I know there were reports out there from a German website saying that Liam Flock could head back to Germany at the end of the season, but I couldn't get Google to translate the website, and nor could I read the rest of the article because you had to pay for it, and I did not feel like paying for a German website just to see what they had to say about Leon Flock potentially going to Germany. But yeah, other than that, there's nothing to talk about. So I really just want to talk about this game. And even that, honestly, there isn't too much to analyze about this game. But regardless, I mean, we'll go ahead and talk about the game since I always do a review episode. But honestly, for myself, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way too, it feels like we're living in a fantasy land, and I truly cannot wrap my head around what we're seeing from Philadelphia Union, and none of this makes sense with all these records that they keep setting and breaking week upon week. And you know, some of these are team records the Union are setting, and like I said, some of these are league records that have been in the league for 20 plus years. And to think that your Philadelphia Union are a team that are breaking these records, setting these records, I mean, it's like I said, I mean, I can't wrap my head around it. It doesn't make sense to me. And again, I'm sure you guys feel the same way, and we'll all enjoy this moment while we can. We definitely don't want to take any of this for granted because we know how fast it can all disappear. Where all it takes is a couple teams from Europe sending in high transfer offers, and we lose a good core amount of our team. And yeah, I know Ernst Tanner's job is to put a winning team out there. Jim Curtin's job is to get wins out of this team. But at the same time, if teams come out and spend a ridiculous amount of money on a Julian Kranz, a Daniel Gazdag, Andre Blake, Leon Flock, Kai Wagner, you're not gonna say no. Every player has a price tag. It's just, is a team willing to meet that? What do the union value their guys at? And we've seen it the last couple years, and especially ever since Ernst got here. All these rumors linking union players to different teams in Europe. And that's all because the union are winning. And if the union go out and win Supporters Shield this season, if they win MLS Cup, those rumors are going to be like nothing we've ever seen before. I can guarantee you, week upon week, we are going to see a different union player linked to Europe. And yeah, it sucks imagining that. And yeah, we're a selling league. And I've talked about that before on the podcast, where it sucks to maybe lose your favorite player, to lose one of the best players on the team. But I think we can all admit that MLS isn't up there with the top leagues yet, where they can afford to say, okay, yeah, we're not going to sell our top players. Players do want to come in MLS, but I don't think we're at a point where the players want to choose MLS over Europe, because these players are using MLS as a stepping stone to get back to Europe, or to get to Europe for the first time. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that makes the league more exciting, where you get all these young European, South American players wanting to come to MLS to help further their careers, to then get to Europe. And Jim Curtin said it before, I've said it before on the podcast, where probably in the next 10 years, you could say MLS is one of the top clubs in the world, where they can compete with top talent going to Europe, where they could afford to hold on to top talent. Top talent wants to be here. I know that's crazy to think about, and maybe some of you guys are like, yeah, that'll never happen. But, you know, we've seen MLS grow tremendously over the years, and especially the last couple years, again, where you see young South Americans coming over to MLS, where that didn't normally happen before. And so the league's changing, and whether or not people want to admit it or not, that's fine. But going back to records that the union were breaking, some of the records they broke Saturday night against New York Red Bulls. One, the union now have the most wins on the road in a regular season for themselves, with 7. You guys remember I talked about that a couple episodes ago. I wrote an article about that. In Cincinnati, will this finally be the game where they get the most wins on the road? Never happened. Happens against the New York Red Bulls. The union also have the most points in a season, and they have the most points so far in MLS, tied with LAFC with 60. The union also have the most wins in a regular season with 17. They also have the most shutouts in their career, and Andre Blake has his most shutouts in his career with 13. And the union also have the most goals they've ever scored in a season with 63. And then finally, Daniel Gazdag now is the leading goal scorer in all competitions in one regular season with 18. And let's look. There's still 4 games left, and those records I just went over, they're going to be broke again. But isn't it crazy how the union got to all 5 of those records with 4 games left to play this season? I mean, it is truly remarkable. It leaves you speechless. And I do wonder if Jim Curtin and Ernst Tanner feel the same way as us. Do they feel speechless? Because obviously Ernst Tanner knew the players that he was buying were talented, but did anyone in the organization expect the front 3 of Daniel, Mikael, and Julian to click as quickly as they did? I know I didn't, and I don't think any of you guys listening to this podcast thought that they would click this fast. And one thing I want to point out real quick about Mikael Uhre is, according to Global Football Rankings, they have MLS listed as the 15th best league in the world, 2 spots ahead of the Danish league, who are at 17. And another thing I want to point out is Brøndby has a SPI of 40.5, while the Union have a SPI of 59.3. And now you guys might be saying, what's SPI? blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to give you guys a whole description on SPI, but basically, SPI is calculated by looking at a team's expected goals scored compared to the same team's expected goals conceded. Both of these are predictive metrics, and they're based on expected performances against an average team at neutral venues. Now, it's a lot more complicated than that, but that's pretty much the gist of it. SPI goes into a whole bunch of analytics. These rankings come from 538, who you guys have heard me talk about the last couple of episodes. So they're highly respected, highly regarded in the world, not just for sports, but people look at them for politics. They look at them for everything. And they have really, really good analytics. And they're one of the most respected websites, rankings systems out there just because of the advanced analytics that they use to predict things. And a lot of people do think that this is the closest 538's rankings is the closest you will ever get. Yes, we talk about FIFA rankings and stuff like that, but all that does not take into account all the analytics that 538 uses. And so people look at 530 and say, yeah, this is pretty accurate because of all the analytics that go into determining where these teams rank and everything. And Global Football Rankings, who I just read some of those stats to you guys about, they use 538's rankings and determine the highest rated leagues, the highest rating teams. And I just thought it was interesting that Global Football Rankings thinks that Mikel Ua came into a better league and is now playing for a better team in MLS. And so if you guys choose to believe that Global Football Rankings and SPI are correct that the Union are better than Brøndby, that MLS is better than the Danish league, then isn't that crazy that we get a player in Mikel Ua who's brand new to a country, to the team, is playing for a better team, and he adopted this fast MLS with 11 goals so far. And again, 4 games left. But it is truly remarkable seeing just MLS as a whole grow over the years and seeing the Union grow since Ernst Tanner got here. And again, some of you guys might say, I don't buy into those rankings and everything. If you guys have been listening to the podcast for a while, you guys know that I love stats. I love analytics. Most of my episodes are based off of analytics and stats. And so, yeah, I do have high regards for 538 for Global Football Rankings. And I think a lot of people in the industry do hold them in high regard. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there, that Global Football Rankings has the Union as a better team than Brøndby has MLS as a better league than the Danish league. But it's like nobody could have seen this coming, right? Julian, Mikel, and Daniel Gaz just adapting with each other as fast as they have. And hopefully when playoffs come, they can just continue this fine form that they're in. But I really want to know. I really want to know, like, did Ernst Tanner and Jim Curtin see the front three clicking as fast as they did? And again, I do applaud Ernst Tanner for keeping the core group of this team together. Yes, we've sold some pieces over the years, didn't bring some players back, but majority of this team has been together since 2019. And yes, we all feel like the Union could have been in MLS Cup final last year. COVID happens, but this year you gotta feel pretty good about the Union's chances of, 1, winning the Shield again, and 2, reaching MLS Cup. Now, I will say, I'm recording this episode on Monday. I woke up last night and had a little bit of a panic attack thinking about the Union. And I don't know why, and hopefully I'm not jinxing this, but I woke up and I was just really sad, really devastated because of my dream. The Union went to the semifinals in the Eastern Conference and lost the first game. And hopefully that's not to be the case in real life. But, man, I was devastated when I woke up. I was like, there's no way that this happened. Like, the Union lose the very first game after having that incredible season. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Yes, I know we all probably have bad memories of that happening in 2020 when we won the Shield and lost to New England, but I don't know. I think this team's a lot more special than the team in 2020, and at the same time, too, you look at us finishing in first place in 2020 compared to if we finish in first place this season in the Eastern Conference, there's a lot less layoff than there was in 2020. So I think that does bode well for the Union if they do, in fact, finish first in the Eastern Conference again this season. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this game, New York Red Bulls, Philadelphia Union. And this is a game where both teams were just feeling each other out, which is the normal case when these two teams play against each other. And they both play a similar style where it cancels each other out. And we saw earlier on in this game that neither team was going to be attacking through the midfield. It was long ball after long ball over the top. And Red Bull did a really good job limiting Daniel Gazdag involvement in this game in the first 20 minutes, with Daniel only getting 9 touches. And every time the Union would be on the ball, Red Bull would have 2 players pressing, ready to force a mistake. And you look at the stats at halftime, both teams combined for 69 attempted long balls in the first half. Neither team wanted to go through the middle. It was just, like I said, long ball after long ball. Red Bulls tried to get their striker, Elias Manuel, on the ball as often as possible, tried to get Elias to go out into the channels to beat Jacob Glesnes and Jack Elliott with his pace. The Union wanted to send long balls to Corey Burke and Mikael Ua so they could head those balls down to teammates. But none of that really worked for either team in the first half. And the second half, the Union couldn't have started this game any better. They get an early goal, which and then forces New York Red Bulls to come out and allowed more opportunities for the Union in the second half of this game. And I do want to point out Andre Blake, and he was phenomenal. That save that he had on Laquinhos in the 23rd minute, where he backheels a shot that was a fantastic save from Andre. It was just Andre being Andre. It was a good ball in from Lewis Morgan, and you had Laquinhos create just a bit of separation from him and Glesnes, where he was able to backheel that ball towards Andre Blake. Andre reacted well, saw the ball the whole time. And then you had Andre Blake coming up with a huge double save in the 57th minute, even though that was called for offsides. But that's just Andre being Andre, just reacting to that. And I know the stigma in soccer as well. If your goalkeeper is your MVP, the rest of your team wasn't that good, which I normally agree with. But when you look at Andre this season, he's legit having a career year. 0.7 goals against per 90 minutes is insane. It's unheard of. 81.7 shot percentage is insane. It's unheard of. 7.6 PSXG is unheard of. Everything Andre Blake is doing is historic. And if Andre can keep these numbers up, he's MVP for me. And yes, people want to talk about Daniel Gazdag and all the goals he scores. We had this debate the last couple of episodes where there's a difference between MVP and the best player on the team. And for me, if Andre Blake can keep up these numbers, he's got to win MVP for, yes, the Union, but I think for the league as a whole. You take Andre Blake away from the Union aren't the Union without Andre Blake. And I know the same can be said about Kai Wagner and Jack Elliott or Jacob Glesnes. But these numbers, guys, and these are historic numbers. Numbers that we will probably never see again in MLS. And so when you consider that, yes, I think if Andre Blake keeps this up, lowers his goals against per 90, his save percentage keeps going up, his PSXG keeps going up, then how isn't Andre Blake MVP for the league? Because again, yes, I do agree typically when your goalkeeper wins MVP, that means that everybody else on your team was lackluster. But these are historic numbers. And so for some of you guys out there that, know that you do get a vote for the MVP awards, seriously come out and consider voting for Andre Blake, because these are historic numbers. These aren't just typical Andre Blake numbers. These are above anything Andre's ever done in MLS. These are better numbers than what Nick Rimondo's ever done in MLS. Better than what Tony Meola's ever done in MLS. And when you truly consider that, how isn't Andre Blake MVP? At the minimum, Andre should be goalkeeper of the year in the best 11. But again, I really do think if Andre keeps up these numbers the last 4 games, he's MVP. And I'm going to try my best to have on Phil Whedon, the goalkeeper coach for the Union. I'm going to try to have him on the podcast on here soon. Maybe here in a couple weeks when the Union are in the international break, just to talk about, working with Andre and the rest of the goalkeepers. So just be on the lookout for that. Hopefully I can get that all situated and have a great discussion about Andre Blake and the tremendous work that Phil does with the goalkeepers of the Union. But since we're talking about good saves, I do got to shout out Carlos Cornell's great save on Ali Bedoya in the 69th minute. Great ball in by Mikel. Maybe he put it a little bit too wide to Ali, but Ali is able to still get the shot off, and Cornell comes up with a big save. And as Jim always says, you go into the half on the road tied 0-0. Teams are going to come at you more in the second half, sending more players going forward. And that's exactly what happened after the Union got that early goal in the second half. More opportunities started to open up for the Union. Both teams started to go through the middle more, and the Union were just the better team on the night. Again, like I said against Atlanta last week, I don't think, the scoreline did that game justice, did Atlanta any justice, just like I don't think the 2-0 scoreline did New York Red Bulls any justice either. I think the game was a lot closer than 2-0 looked like, but when the Union are playing like they've been playing this whole season, it's really hard to break them down. And one other thing I want to bring up is a lot of fans were very confused when the Union announced the lineup for this game, seeing Matt Real in the lineup, seeing Leon Flock at the 6 with Jose Martinez not playing, Jack McGlynn on the right side of the diamond with Ali Bedoya not in the lineup. And so I do want to play Jim Curtin's reasoning for why the Union went with the lineup they went with and what some of the players had to say when they found out they were starting.
Ideally, we had Ali in the starting lineup too, but his body, and he was honest, and I'm grateful for him for being honest. It was too much. The turnaround was quick. He had a family, personal thing that'll stay private that kept him up. I'll just say kept him up late at night, and he didn't get natural sleep that he usually would to recover. So his body just wasn't right 100%. Still comes into the game and was amazing for us. But, for Leon to literally on the team walk, it was funny. It's the first team walk I've had where I just kind of casually went behind guys and told them the plan's changing and kind of talked to Jack, talked to Leon. Well, first talked to Jose, found out he was out, talked to Jack, and then talked to Leon. And Leon's response was great. It was, yeah, we're all here. Let's play. It's the same game. Doesn't really matter. I've played the 6. I played wide. This group just has a way of rolling with the punches. Whatever's thrown at them, they rise to the occasion. And it was a great mentality to have. A lot of guys would overthink it. And Matt Real also, to a man, they were all just saying, yeah, I got it, coach. Thanks. Matt actually said, thanks for the opportunity. So this is a group that wants to be on the field. They all fight for minutes. And it was certainly not the plan going in, but I thought, we used some depth and it really, really did more than just hold up. We beat a good team in their building comfortably.
Exactly. We got to see the depth of the Union in the midfield. And at times, Matt Real was playing like a second number 6 to Leon Flock. And I thought they were both tremendous on the night. And especially Leon Flock in the 73rd minute, I think it was. I'll add the clip to the show notes for you guys to see on Twitter. But Leon Flock, great hustle, great tackle on Fernandez to catch him, to tackle the ball out of bounds, to stop a potential counterattack from New York Red Bulls. Leon Flock was everywhere on the night at the number 6. Yeah, Matt Real maybe wasn't the most flashiest player, but he did his job defensively for the Union, protecting that left side of the field with Kai Wagner. And he really gave Leon Flock a lot of cover too. And then you have Jack McGlynn, who was playing in an unnatural position on the right side of the diamond, but Jack said he liked that where he could cut inside and get on his left foot and just ping balls off that left foot a lot easier. You had Jack McGlynn, Jim Curtin too, saying in the press conference where, yeah, their plan coming into this game was to drop Jack McGlynn back deeper to get him on the ball, to be a playmaker, to ping those balls over the top. And we'll talk about the assist that Jack McGlynn had here in a bit. But yeah, I think just to see literally the day of the game, a couple hours before the game, telling players, hey, look, we're going to change the way we approach this game because Jose can't go, Ale can't go. And the team comes out and has that kind of performance with few hours notice. I think that just speaks, like Jim said, to the character of this team, to the depth of this team. And you feel confident, just like you said. I know I'm stealing Jim's words, but whoever goes out there on the field, they're going to put in a shift. And so I just want to give a shout out to Leon Flock, Jack McGlynn, and Matt Rial for the job that they did. LA and Julian Kranza coming off the bench, providing a spark to this team. They were excellent too, even though they didn't play all 90 like they normally do. But yeah, Jim Courtney got his lineup right, and for the players to step up the way that they did, that was fantastic to see. But let's go ahead and talk about my keys to the game that I talked about last episode and wrote about on the website. I said, number one, you got to win the midfield battle. And these are the two highest tackling teams, like I said, in the midfield, with New York Red Bulls attempting 292 attempts, with the Union attempting 218 attempts. And for me, that's a pass. And if this game would have stayed like it did in the first half, where you see long ball after long ball, then I would have said, I can't rate it. But because the second half showed us more midfield play, once the Union got that early second half goal, the Union won the midfield battle. They had more tackles won in the midfield. And so going to give the Union a pass for that. Number two, I said you got to defend set pieces well. The Red Bulls were amongst some of the best teams. 6 most goals scored off of set pieces in MLS, where they had the 5th fewest conceded on set pieces. And we know the Union loves scoring the set piece goals, but we also know they're the best team in MLS at defending them. And so I knew New York Red Bulls were going to be tricky defending on set pieces. And that was why it was key number 2 for me. That's a pass for the Union. 3 corner kicks for the Red Bulls. They had a couple free kicks in dangerous areas against the Union and the Union's defensive half. But the Union defended every single one of those attempts well, and so that's a pass too. And number 3, I said defend the long shot. And then that's a pass again. 5 shots outside the box from the Red Bulls. 3 of those shots were blocked by the Union. The Union had 1 save with Andre Blake on Drew Yearwood, and then one of the shots New York Red Bulls just completely missed. And I know my keys to the game were a little bit different than how the Union won this game, but I do think these keys were key for not conceding a goal, for taking away what Red Bulls do best. And because of that, I think that is part of the reason why the Union came out with all 3 points. So all 3 of those keys to the game were a pass, in my opinion. And moving on to the 3 stars on the night. First, Andre Blake. And again, I know we only had 2 saves in this game, but really that save on Laquinhos really set the tone for this game. That was New York Red Bulls' best chance to score throughout this whole game, but the best chance to score in the first half. And if they would have scored that goal, then the Union would have had to come out and change their game plan completely against the Red Bull. But because Andre is being Andre, the Union are able to get all 3 points, keep a clean sheet. Like I said, 13th on the season for the Union and Andre Blake, which is both, again, career highs for the team and Andre. And because of that, Andre is star number 1 for me. Number 2, Jack McGlynn, 1 assist, 32 out of 39 passes complete, 5 passes into the final third, and 4 ball recoveries. And tell Jack, you're going to start on the left side of the field. Actually, Ale can't go either, so we're going to play you on the right side of the diamond. And to see Jack McGlynn play that way that he did against the New York Red Bulls, to come back and help out defensively, Jack McGlynn, how can you not give him one of the star players on the night? And then number 3, Mikael Ua, one goal on one shot. And I've talked about it the last couple of weeks, how Mikael Ua is the most clinical striker on this team. He doesn't need many opportunities to score. He gets one shot this whole game, and he finishes it. The best finish of the 2 goals the Union scored, in my opinion. And then, again, we talked about the Union's game plan in the first half, where the Union wanted to play long balls over the top. They wanted to get Corey Burke. They wanted to get Mikael Ua on the ball with their heads. And Mikael Ua had 6 out of 12 aerials won. I know it's only 50%, but it's evident what the Union's game plan was to get Mikael to head balls down, to get Corey Burke to head balls down. And Mikael lived up exactly to what the Union wanted to do in this game. Now let's go ahead and break down these goals. And sticking with Mikael Ua, he scored the first goal in this game. This comes from a turnover from the Union. The Red Bull are in the Union's half. Kyle Duncan's going to go ahead and pass the ball. Ball gets turned over here. Great pressure from Jack Elliott. And Liam Flock's going to go ahead and just pick up the ball. And this is really good positioning from Jack Elliott, from Liam Flock, and from Matt Rial. They're in a triangle formation. And if you guys always watch the field, watch the formations that the players are in. And one of the most basic things that coaches try to do is keep their teams into triangles, because that's the easiest way to pass. And so Jack Elliott, Matt Rial, and Liam Flock, they had a really good triangle going here, where Liam Flock reacted to the turnover, was able to pass the ball to Matt Rial. And so you have 2 touches between those two. You have Jack McGlynn going to receive the ball here from Matt Rial, who's in great positioning, has a little check over, which is key for any players in soccer, where before they receive the ball, they have a quick check over the shoulder to see where the player is. And because of that, Jack McGlynn's able to, now he has time to move around if he needs to, but Daniel Gazag's coming to the ball. And it's all one-touch passing here from Liam Flock to Matt Rial to Jack McGlynn to Daniel Gazdag. Daniel Gazdag dropped all the way down into his defensive half to get onto the ball, receives the ball, takes a touch, great entry pass ball to Jack McGlynn, who is now in yards of space, because as soon as that ball goes to Daniel Gazdag, there's 2 New York Red Bull players that swarm Daniel Gazdag, and because Gazag's able to take a great first touch and then play a great pass to Jack McGlynn, who's wide open, and Jack McGlynn's able to dribble the ball for a little bit and flicks the ball over one of the Red Bull players' head. And because of that, now he has acres of space on the right side of the field. There's only one Red Bull player on the right side of the field that's man-marking Corey Burke. So if Jack McGlynn wanted to, he could have taken a lot more touches than what he did. And Jack McGlynn has around 4 or 5 touches. Mikael Ua is making this back shoulder run off of the center back, which is so hard for center backs to defend. And Jack McGlynn sees the run from Mikael Ua, who gets himself in space after making that run. And Mikael Ua is going to go ahead and take a first-time finish. Terrific finish from Mikael Ua. And this all comes from the passing from the Union, just setting themselves up in triangles, forcing the turnover, and then the quick one-touch passes from Leon to Matt Rial to Jack McGlynn to Daniel Gazdag, who, again, terrific first touch from Daniel Gazdag, who then gets the ball out of his foot extremely fast and picks up a wide-open Jack McGlynn. I mean, the movement leading up to this goal from the Union is what you love to see. This is how the Union beat the press, and they did exactly that with this quick one-time passing and then the one-time finish from Mikael Ua. And then we go ahead and look at the second goal in the 74th minute, courtesy of Daniel Gazdag. Comes from a goal kick from Andre Blake. The Union are going to go ahead and lose this 50-50 ball, but the ball falls straight to Jack McGlynn. And Jack McGlynn, great touch again. And this is why Jack McGlynn was my second star on the night, because he was involved in both of these goals for the Union. I know he only had 1 assist, but Jack McGlynn, when the ball falls to him, takes a great first touch, and then he plays a great touch for it, going into the attacking third of New York Red Bulls. Kyle Duncan intercepts the ball, and Kyle Duncan is then going to pass the ball to one of his teammates, But because of the pressure from Daniel Gazdag, it forces Kyle Duncan to pass this ball a lot quicker than he probably wanted to. And Kyle Duncan's a right back, and he's completely out of position here. He's playing as a center back. And as soon as Kyle Duncan passes that ball to his teammate's going to go ahead and turn. And as soon as he turns, Julian Kranz is right there to take the ball off of his foot. And as soon as Julian Kranz does that, now it's a 2v1 for the Union where the ball falls to Daniel Gazdag, who lets the ball roll to Mikhail Ua, who then has a quick pass right back to Julian Kranza. And because Kyle Duncan's out of position, the only defender back there, the Union are just able to transition this ball extremely fast. Quick passing, terrific finish from Daniel Gazdag. But it all starts because of the pressure from Julian Kranza and the Philadelphia Union, New York Red Bulls, the Red Bulls, with their terrific press. And there you have it for both of the goals for the Union. Terrific finishing from the Union on both of those goals, and that's how you get it done in Red Bull Arena. But let's go ahead and talk about Blunder of the Week for the last segment of the podcast. And Blunder of the Week, I had 3 really good candidates this week. At first, it was going to go to VAR's usage in the Premier League this week. They took away good goals from Brighton, from West Ham United, and from Arsenal. And yeah, I'm a Manchester United fan. The referee saw the foul clearly on Christian Eriksen and said play on. Didn't think it was a foul. And then after Arsenal score, he gets swarmed by Manchester United players. They go to VAR and he says, oh yeah, there was a foul on Christian Eriksen, even though he had direct sight on the foul. And he says that's not a foul, play on. And then he goes to VAR and says, oh, yeah, actually, it is a foul. Yeah, VAR was not in good use this week in the Premier League, which I feel like it normally never is. And then after that, it was going to go to Drew Yearwood for blasting the ball at his own fans. And that probably should be Blunder of the Week, even though Drew Yearwood came out and apologized to his fans, saying he knows how badly he messed up. He's going to learn from it. It's never going to happen again. Yeah, that should probably definitely be Blunder of the Week, but it's not. And it really should be. It really should be. But I'm happy I'm recording this podcast on Monday where I was able to watch the LA Galaxy versus Sporting Kansas City game on Sunday. And the Blunder of the Week is going to go to Javier Chicharito Hernandez for his failed Panenka attempt in the 97th minute. That would have won the game for LA Galaxy over Sporting KC. Chicharito had 2 goals in this game. He scored a late equalizing penalty to tie this game up 2-2 for the Galaxy. And then Galaxy get literally the last kick of the game, a penalty kick in the 97th minute. And Javier tries to Panenka the goalkeeper. It's a terrible Panenka. I don't know what he was thinking. Goalkeeper saves it easily. And LA Galaxy drop points. And that now puts LA Galaxy in 8th place in the Western Conference with 39 points. Now, granted, they do have 2 games in hand. They're chasing Portland, who have 42 points. But when you have an opportunity, literally the last kick of the game, a penalty kick, to take all 3 points, and you go ahead and try to do a Panenka, come on, man. Like, LA Galaxy fans weren't happy, and I wouldn't be either if I was a Galaxy fan. I knew my buddy Sal was listening to the podcast. Is a huge LA Galaxy fan, I'm sure. He's not happy with Javier Hernandez's failed Panenka, but I do give Javier Hernandez credit for what he said after the game.
Geez, sorry, it's pretty obvious. We had one clear chance to get the 3 points. We couldn't, and yeah, taking responsibility. I'm sorry, and yeah, I'm gonna keep working very hard. 2 weeks ago, the penalty, the Panenka worked pretty well. Now this time it didn't work, and yeah, I need to look forward, take responsibility, and keep improving, keep working.
And you don't have a ton of players literally right after the game coming out and taking responsibility. So credit to Chicharito for coming out and saying, yeah, this is on me, I'm sorry. be mad at me. I could have won us the game and I didn't. And you'd love to see it from him. But again, why would you do something so risky like a Panenka to not have it come off? Yeah, it looks great when it comes off, but when it doesn't come off, yeah, you look like a fool. So I'll be curious to see if Chicharito is on penalties going forward for LA Galaxy. I think I saw a stat from Opta or something that said Chicharito is 4 for 8 on his penalties with LA Galaxy, which is terrible. So when you have a player that's only converting 50% of his penalties, you should definitely have somebody else step up and take penalties. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on social media, follow on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Free Kick Pod, wherever you get your podcasts, The Free Kick, and check out that website, thefreekick.net, which leads me into something I want to talk to you guys about, where I don't know how many of you guys check out the website. If you guys do, great. If you don't, it's fine too. But I do want to come up with a widget on the website where under the contact form, if you guys use the website, I want to go ahead and leave an option where you guys can leave a voice note where you guys, any week, can send in a voice note to me. I'll get the email, and then whether it's a topic you want me to bring up, whether it's a question you guys have, send that voice note. I'll play it in the podcast, answer that question, answer whatever topic you guys want me to discuss. I just want to find more ways for you guys to get interactive with the podcast, find you guys more opportunities. I know in the past, I would say on Twitter, hey, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave those questions on Twitter. Go ahead and email me questions. And yeah, that's worked in the past and everything. But, if you guys want to get your voice heard on the podcast, I'm going to figure out how to get a widget attached to the podcast where you guys can leave a voice note, and I'll play it on the website. And then I want to do another Twitter Spaces soon because it went over so well for episode 200. I don't know when exactly I'm going to do another Spaces. Maybe when I'm on vacation, I'll do a Twitter Spaces. I don't know. I got to figure out exactly how I want to do that because I do want to try to get a Charlotte commentator on for that podcast, but I also don't want to go on vacation with all of my recording equipment. So I'll have to decide when I want to do Twitter Spaces again. I definitely want to do one here soon. Had a ton of people listen live on Twitter. Had a lot of people go ahead and replay that on Twitter and then listen to it when it came out as a podcast. So again, definitely want to do Twitter Spaces soon, but we shall see when I do that. And again, I'll be transparent with you guys. There will be no Orlando City match preview this week. Again, just really hard, I guess, for Orlando's commentators to make time to speak for 30 minutes. So, it is what it is. You guys will get a match preview article sometime this week. And, hopefully you guys check that out. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.